All right, everyone, welcome to another edition of the Diggie A2 presents DBNETCO The Journey. We are now on our third stop of our artists in the DBNETCO crew, led by or spearheaded by Dion Brown. So far we've had VGE, we've had Mac Xavier, and now we get to talk to Christopher Edmonds, aka Satisfy, is in the house with us today. So we're gonna have a conversation with Satisfy, talk about him, his journey, and where are some of the things that he wants to do with his musical career and his relationship with DBNETCO also. So I got a chance to check out some of his work. If you guys have not heard Anomaly, go and check it out. It's really, really good, solid piece of art that you all need to go check out. I think it came out around August time frame, so you probably slept on it. That's okay. I'm here to remind you to go back and re-listen to Anomaly, one of his latest projects that he dropped. So let's bring in Satisfy. Let's bring him in so you all can meet him. Satisfy, how are you? Good evening. And what is going on, my brother?
Yo, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Oh, man, 2020 was a ride, bro, right? Like, I can't believe it's over. But I'm so happy that we were able to survive and hopefully satisfy no one in your immediate family or family was affected by the pandemic. So it is still out there, you guys. Hopefully you weren't affected by it. And in all seriousness, it's not done yet, you guys. Keep your mask on. We're not out the woods yet. So be sure to take care of yourselves. But let's talk to Satisfy. So Satisfy, let's start from the beginning. How did Christopher Edmonds become Satisfy? How did all this begin? How did all this start?
Well, I mean, growing up, I've always been like a fan of music. Like, I remember the first type of music I started listening to was around 1999, and it was NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys. That was like my first introduction to music. And then pretty much the first time I heard of hip hop was off of NBA Live 2000. I think NBA Live 2000. It was the soundtrack, and I remember every time it would go to the main menu, it would play Hip Hop Parade by Naughty by Nature. That was the first hip hop song I ever heard, and I was like, "This sounds so different, but it sounds so cool though." And then from there, I then got into Ja Rule, Ashanti, and all of Murder Inc. records in the early 2000s because their music videos would always be on MTV. And that's when I started listening to hip hop consistently. And then that's when I started to listen to artists such as Eminem, Nas, Method Man, Redman, DMX, all those guys. So that was pretty much my introduction to music. And then around 2010, I met my friend Josh Pierce, who goes by Joshua. It was our sophomore year of high school. He transferred to my high school. And I remember the first time I saw him was in my study hall. I just immediately recognized that he was a new kid for some reason. I don't know. I have like that ability to pick stuff out like that for some reason. And I'm like, oh, new kid. And I didn't even give it no thought. And I actually met him personally for the first time when my friend back in high school, Dan Seals, introduced me to him. He invited Josh out to like a dinner that we were at or whatever. And I met Josh through there. And then we then began to hang out a whole lot more after that. And then once we continued to hang out with each other, then that's when he told me in the social circle that we were part of that he was a rapper, he made music and all that. And I remember like, I say when he showed us the music or whatever, I thought he had to go to like a big time recording studio to record that and then to have it mixed and mastered or whatever. And he said that he did all of it himself. And I thought that was like so cool. And when he played it for us, I'm like, wow, that's actually really cool. And from there, I didn't like expect to like rap right off the bat. I just thought it was cool. And then like probably like a couple weeks or maybe a month or so later, I decided to give rapping a try. And that's when around that time, my song back in the day was the New Boys, Tie Me Down. That was my jam back in the day. And pretty much as I'm listening to that song on YouTube, I look in the suggestions box and it shows a video called Tie Me Down Instrumental with Hook. And I had no idea what the instrumental or hook was at the time. So I just clicked on it to listen to it. And I listened to it and the chorus played. And then all of a sudden the verses where Ben J and Legacy rapped on, all of a sudden it was just the beat. And I kind of like thought, I listened to it over and over again. I'm like, wait a second. This is what Josh does. He gets on these beats, starts rapping, and starts writing and whatnot. So I'm like, let me give it a try. And the goal with that, it wasn't to write anything like, you know, some crazy metaphors or crazy storyline and all that. Like, I didn't know how to write stuff like that. I just knew, the goal was to rhyme the last word in the first line with the last word in the second line, and so on and so forth. So I wrote it, I recorded it, and pretty much I listened to it. I'm like, okay, let me upload it to my YouTube channel. And luckily I didn't have any like subscribers on YouTube, so no one could hear that abysmal track that I put together. And pretty much I listened to it again, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of feeling confident about it. So then I put it out, and then I put it on Facebook to try to get traction, try to get some reviews with it, because I had like a big following with that.
Yeah.
And pretty much, what was it? And pretty much just to get like a traction with it. And pretty much I logged off. I went to bed. Then I went back on the computer to log in, and only one person liked it. Didn't really get much reaction to it. So I'm like, all right, whatever. I gave it a try. Yeah. Then I go to school, and then people started like calling me by my rap name at the time. And it wasn't Satisfy. Yeah, I went by Little E.
Little
everyone's
B?
like, yo, Little E.
Oh, Little E. Okay.
Yeah, because my dad's name is Chris Evans also. And people would always call
Little
us
E.
like Chris
Got it.
Senior.
Got it.
They would either call us like Chris Senior, Chris Junior, or like Big Chris or Little Chris. So I said, okay, he would be Big E and I would be Little E. I don't know. And pretty much everyone was calling me like, hey, Little E, what's up, man? And they're like, we heard your track. That was fire. And I'm like, oh, thanks. And they're like, you coming out with like a new song? And I'm like, no, why would I? And pretty much they kept like pushing me to come out with a new song. So pretty much I just started like doing remixes mainly. I didn't do like original songs, and probably like once every 3 or 5 months or so, I would put out like a new remix. And then pretty much around while I was doing that, this one kid like dissed me on YouTube. I had no idea who it was. Oh. He just said, your song sucks, I'm gonna diss you. I'm like, all right. Okay. And pretty much he came out with the diss, but he didn't really diss me. The only part where he did that, he was like rapping, and then pretty much he kind of like gave me like a reality check, saying like, you know, you say nothing in your raps, you need to like start like saying something. And I'm like, and I kind of like thought about it. I'm like, all right. So I kind of took a step back from like doing remixes and all that. Then I started like pretty much recording. I pretty much started to write. Yeah. Focus on my writing and all that. And I would do it during study hall in school, and I would like pass it to people and pass my writing to people to see what they thought about it. And this one girl I gave it to, she was like, wait, you wrote this? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, I just wrote it off the bat. And she's like, wow, this is really good. I'm like, thanks. And then she's like, you ever thought about taking this seriously? And I'm like, no, why would I do that? And pretty much she was like, no, this is really good. Like, I think you could probably like take this seriously or do something with it. And I was like, nah, I don't know. So then like this other guy who I went to high school with said the same thing. I still said, nah, I don't know. But then took one of my friends, I wished him a happy birthday on Twitter. And pretty much he said, thanks, Chris. Can't wait to see you make it with music. And I'm like, oh, so, all right, well, that's like the third person that's told me this. So let me give it a try and see what happens. So I started to really like work on my craft and everything like towards the end of my senior year of high school. And then pretty much going into my freshman year of college, I started like really focus on my writing and everything. Yeah. And like kind of like working my flow a bit. Like my flow was on point like from the beginning. I just really had to work on my lyrics and all that. Right. So pretty much I started doing that, and I released like a couple like 2 mixtapes, like very underground mixtapes under Little E. And then I eventually told myself, okay, if I'm going to do this seriously, my rap name can't be Little E. It just sounds gimmicky to me. Yeah. And pretty much I was thinking of new rap names to call myself. And I remember like talking to my mom and having her help me out with this. And like, you just think of like some names or whatever, and then like text them to me or whatnot. And she's like, okay. And I was going back and forth trying to come up with some names. I found a couple good ones, but they didn't stick. And then I remember my favorite rapper at the time. He's still one of my favorite rappers now. Classified. He's from Canada.
Okay.
And pretty much, I thought of his name just off the top of my head randomly. I'm like, Classified. Shorten that down. It's Classify. And I'm like, what rhymes with classified? I'm like, Satisfied. And I'm like, shorten that down, Satisfy. And I kept saying Satisfy over and over again. And I'm like, okay, I like that. So I decided to go with that based off just that thought process, but also like the meaning behind Satisfy as well is growing up. I didn't really ask for a whole lot growing up. I was like fine with everything that I had. I was content with like the small things I had. In other words, I was satisfied.
Right.
So that's pretty much how I got into music and how I got the name Satisfied.
Man, that's awesome, man. I think that it sounds like, a lot of artists that I meet, chose to go into the industry, but it seems like, or it appears that the industry chose you. Like the industry came to you naturally, like, you know what I mean? So I think that's great, man. I think you have an awesome story, and I want to continue on with this now. So you got the rap name Satisfy, and then let's talk about the present real quick, Satisfy. What are you working on currently, and how has 2020, what was 2020 like for you?
Oh man, 2020, not great. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Like, I think everything all went downhill when Kobe died.
Yeah. That was in January too.
And then like Kobe was my favorite player of all time, and just hearing that news and hearing that his daughter died too just messed me up. Like I started crying like crazy, and then pretty much it started with that. And then when Pop Smoke got killed in February, and then COVID in March, and it's just like, man, this ain't a good year. Yeah. And then pretty much fast forward to September, my grandpa passed away in September. So, that has really been hard for me and my family and all that. So, and then I actually got COVID early October.
Wow.
So,
wow, man.
Yeah. And I was like really sick. Like I couldn't taste or smell anything, which was like the worst thing ever. So, but pretty much I just been laying low since then. And I was working on like 4 projects all at once and doing all these features, but it was like so overwhelming to me to where I just like eliminated those 3 other projects and like eliminated all those features and pretty much just started focusing on one project, which is my second album. And I was going to start that in October, but when I was going to go down and record in October, pretty much I got COVID. And so I was just so fed up with this year to where I'm like, I'm gonna just schedule everything and start January and just like get through this year alive and healthy and all that. So pretty much that's what's been going on, really.
Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that, brother. It has been a year. I know by the time you all are watching this, 2020 has been over with. We are still in 2020 taping this right now, so we're just getting across the line right now. You know what I mean? So I hear that. So Satisfy, if you were to, let's say someone had never heard your music before, right? And you sat them down and say, hey, here's my music. What do you play for them? And how would you describe your style of hip hop? How do you describe your sound?
I mean, right now where I'm at, mainly my sound's like hip hop and rock mainly. And like kind of like where I'm at, like with making music is like, it doesn't matter who I'm listening to, if it's like an old rapper or a new rapper or an old band or a new band. Like if I get inspired by you, like I get inspired by you to write something and all that. But pretty much early on with my rapping, I actually learned how to like rap and write over 90s boom bap beats. So pretty much I would listen to a lot of Tupac, a lot of Nas, a lot of Method Man, Redman, DMX, Ice Cube, all those guys. So that pretty much like really helped me like with my songwriting and everything, just like listening to them rap. So
yeah, I like that, man. I like that 90s. Well, I love the 90s hip hop. To me, it's the best 10 years in hip hop is 90 to 99. But I'm a little biased, so I'm just gonna be transparent about that. But so with that in mind, now that you describe what your sound is kind of like, with the rock and rap, where those two worlds collide. That's kind of where you live at. So with that, and also with that in mind, who was someone, or actually, I'll give you two. Who are two artists that you would love to collaborate? If I gave you your dream collaborations, you can only pick two. Who would they be and why? Just two.
Dead or alive?
Either or, dead or alive. Yeah, you choose.
Tupac, rest in peace. Definitely.
Okay.
Who else? I'd say I'm just gonna name one rapper and one band. So Tupac was a rapper, and the band probably Nirvana.
Excellent picks. Nevermind is one of those. It's kind of like one of those things where it's like you have to listen to Kurt Cobain. Like Kurt Cobain, man, like he says some stuff. You're like, whoa, what did he just say? Like he was a mastermind, man. He really, really was. He was a very, very talented gentleman, and he was gone too soon. And Tupac, of course, also gone too soon. So it was just tragedies what happened with those two gentlemen, and what happened with the music world was shook to its core with the passing of Pac and also Kurt Cobain from Nirvana. So excellent choices, man. I like your knowledge, man. We could definitely vibe out, man. I'm feeling this right here, man. I'm feeling this. So, all right, couple more questions, man. Then I'm gonna let you get on. And the most important question of the day is the future. What does Satisfy's hip hop future rest on? What do you want it to look like? What are your short term and or long term goals? What do you want your future to shape out and look like?
I mean, I want to make it with my music to the point where I'm doing it full time. And I'm using that money that I earn from my music to pretty much buy my mom and dad a house and take care of them pretty much. And then probably if I really make it, then I would love to have a fall and spring home in like California or Florida, and then like have like a summer and fall home like somewhere like in the middle of nowhere, like surrounded by nature in the US. So
I hear that, man. That's dope, man. I think that shows to your humbleness as well too. You know, buying your mom and dad a home. You know what I'm saying? Like going back and and taking care of the family. You know, a lot of folks like I'm gonna buy a car. I'm gonna go buy this. I'm gonna go buy that. But you went a whole different route with what I thought you was getting ready to say, man. So I love that about you, man. That speaks a lot to your character also as well too. Satisfy. So mad love to you, man. And I've had an awesome time interviewing you, and we got to start wrapping things up, man. So one of the things I've allowed every artist to do so far is to pay homage to individuals or groups or anyone that has helped you get to where you are in your career. So who are you going to be shouting out this week? Who are your shout outs going to, man?
Well, first, I definitely want to give a shout out to you for having me.
Of course. Appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
To be on your platform and everything. And then definitely Dion Brown. Shout out Dion if you're watching this, man, for believing in me and taking on the role of being more than a manager. Like to me, he's more than a manager. Like, I mean, he'll definitely like help you, like pretty much be there for you, like with your music and everything, and also be there for you as a friend, really. So like, and you don't get a lot of managers like that. So definitely give a shout out to him. My mom and dad for just being the best parents ever, everyone else in my family, and pretty much for all my musical influences that have shaped me into the artist that I am, really. So
that's what's up, man. Yeah, definitely shout out to Dion, man. I love Dion. Like I talk to him at least every other day. And you're right. He's just one of the most humblest, just gentle, warm dudes, genuine dudes that I've met. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to work with him and all you guys directly, because of his humbleness and because of his hustle. Like if you see Dion, like this dude's like passing out cars like it's nothing. And I get a lot of that hustler spirit. You know what I mean? He instilled that a lot of that in me. You know, so just as you mentioned, you know, I talk to him as a just not only as a as a manager or just as a person in my life, but just someone to get knowledge from. Like, he's so knowledgeable, man, and his hustler spirit is in him, man, for sure, man. So but Satisfy, it has been a wonderful time, man, hanging out with you this evening. I wish you nothing but the best, you guys. As I said, if you have not heard Anomaly, go out, check it out. You're gonna see this picture of the album cover come back one more time to remind you all to go download that off Spotify or whatever your streaming platform is. Go check out Satisfy. He's got phenomenal work and more to come here in the future. So we'll see you guys next week with the next member of the DBNETCO. So shout out to Dion, shout out to Satisfy, and of course, shout out to hip hop. All right, see you guys next week. 100.